From the very beginning, Ariana Grande was destined for the spotlight. Born with a voice that could silence any room, she stepped into the world of entertainment as a young girl on Nickelodeon, where the bright lights and cameras were only the beginning of her story. To the world, she was cheerful, bubbly, and effortlessly talented, the perfect image of a rising star. But behind the glitter and the carefully rehearsed smiles, Ariana's heart beat with the raw intensity of someone who felt everything too deeply. Fame came quickly, but so did the first taste of love. Sweet, intoxicating, and complicated. Her first romances were like fleeting summer storms. They were intense, passionate, and often public, sometimes leaving her exposed to the harsh glare of the media before she even had a chance to understand herself. There were late-night calls after performances, handwritten letters passed in hotel hallways, and fleeting kisses in the empty wings of theaters where no one would see. These early experiences were exhilarating, but they came with heartbreak. Every relationship seemed to teach her one crucial lesson. Love is not always gentle, and even when it feels like magic, it can dissolve in a single moment. Despite the chaos, Ariana poured every emotion into her music. Songs became diaries, albums became memoirs, and her voice carried every whisper of her heart. She learned to hide behind her performances when the world became too heavy, yet the stage was never enough to fill the emptiness that love had left behind. In those early years, the balance between personal life and public image was delicate. A misstep could shatter not just a romance, but the perception the world had of her. Even as she grew in fame, the pressure didn't ease. Fans adored her, the press analyzed every word and gesture, and yet she remained a girl learning to navigate love for the first time under the unblinking eyes of millions. She learned quickly that intimacy could be a luxury and vulnerability a risk. Still, Ariana's heart was courageous. She believed in love fiercely, sometimes recklessly, chasing connections that others might have been too cautious to pursue. Every smile captured in paparazzi photos, every candid laugh during interviews carried echoes of private heartbreaks and secret joys that no one else would ever know. By the time she began touring, Ariana had already experienced the bittersweet taste of first loves and public scrutiny. She stepped onto each stage carrying a mix of excitement and fragility, her voice both a shield and a confession. The audience saw the polished pop star, but Ariana knew the truth. Each song was a reflection of every stolen kiss, every heartbreak, and every lesson learned in the tender chaos of youth. The foundation of her future romances was already being laid, built upon these early experiences of intensity, vulnerability, and the unyielding desire to be truly seen and understood. The first chapter of Ariana Grande's love story was not about the grand gestures or fairy tale endings. It was about discovering herself in the midst of whirlwind romances, learning to navigate the delicate dance between fame and intimacy, and realizing that the path to true love would be as complicated and breathtaking as the music she was destined to create. And as the bright lights of her first tours approached, she stepped forward ready to chase both her dreams and the elusive heartbeats of love that would follow her through the years. The Dangerous Woman Tour marked a turning point in Ariana's life, not just professionally, but emotionally. The world watched her soar, her voice echoing across arenas packed with thousands of adoring fans, each note a declaration of power and artistry. Yet, behind the curtains, away from the screaming crowds and flashing cameras, the chaos of touring life brought both thrill and heartbreak. Love arrived in flashes, fleeting romances, whispered confessions in empty hotel hallways, and stolen moments in the chaos of rehearsals. Each connection was intense, urgent, and often doomed to dissolve under the weight of fame and distance. Ariana quickly learned that touring was both a dream and a trap. Nights spent in limousines, airplanes, and hotel rooms blurred together, creating a strange mixture of exhilaration and loneliness. Lovers came and went, some following her from city to city, others appearing only for a night, leaving her with the bittersweet residue of what ifs. Texts went unanswered, calls were missed, and the sense of intimacy was fragile. Yet every fleeting relationship fueled her artistry, giving birth to lyrics that spoke of desire, vulnerability, and longing. Fans would later hear these emotions in her songs, but few understood the real stories behind the words. The late-night heartaches, the whispered promises that vanished like smoke, the quiet tears in the darkness before stepping on stage. One of the most challenging lessons during this period was learning to trust herself and others while under constant scrutiny. Every romantic choice felt magnified by the media, every misstep dissected by fans and critics alike. Ariana discovered that vulnerability came at a high price, yet she couldn't stop seeking it. She was drawn to passion, to the electric thrill of connection, even when it meant risking heartbreak. The dangerous balance of love and fame became her reality, and she realized that to survive emotionally, she would need to navigate with both courage and caution. Amid the whirlwind, Ariana also experienced moments of pure, unguarded joy. A laugh shared in a dressing room, a quiet dinner with someone who truly understood her, or a late night walk through a city lit by neon. These brief respites reminded her why she kept chasing love, despite its chaos. But the tour also brought heartbreak that felt amplified by distance and exhaustion. Partners she thought she could trust would disappear overnight, leaving her to reconcile the excitement of touring with the ache of abandonment. Each heartbreak was a lesson, each fleeting romance a reminder of her own resilience and the reality of loving under the public eye. By the end of the Dangerous Woman tour, Ariana had grown stronger, wiser, and more aware of the complexities of love and fame. She learned that some connections are meant to be temporary, that passion can ignite and fade in a matter of days, and that her heart was capable of both deep longing and rapid healing. The experiences she endured during this time shaped not only her music, but also her understanding of herself and what she wanted from love in the future. The chaos of touring had tested her, but it also revealed her strength, determination, and the unwavering courage that would define her relationships for years to come. After the whirlwind of the Dangerous Woman tour, Ariana Grande entered a period of introspection and transformation with the Sweetener era. The music reflected more than just catchy pop melodies. It was a diary of her emotional growth, a testament to resilience after heartbreak, and a roadmap for self-love. Touring and fame had taught her the intensity of fleeting romances and the fragility of trusting others, and now she sought something deeper, connection with herself first. This was a time of quiet reflection behind the glittering lights. Between interviews, photo shoots, and rehearsals, Ariana carved out moments for herself, morning walks through empty streets of foreign cities, writing lyrics and journals that no one would ever see, and sitting by hotel windows, staring at neon lights became rituals of healing. The chaos of her previous love stories lingered in her heart, but she was learning to transform the pain into strength. Every song, every lyric carried the imprint of lessons learned: how to love without losing herself, how to feel deeply without being consumed by others' expectations. Romantic connections still appeared, as they inevitably do for someone in the spotlight, but Ariana approached them differently. She began to understand the value of boundaries and emotional awareness, embracing love that nourished rather than depleted her. There were still moments of temptation, flirtation, and fleeting passion backstage, yet she learned to recognize which connections would enrich her life and which would vanish like smoke by morning. She was no longer willing to surrender her heart to chaos. She had tasted its extremes and had emerged with wisdom and clarity. The era was also marked by public scrutiny and personal challenges, reminding Ariana that growth isn't linear. Every headline, every rumor, every dissected relationship tested her patience and self-belief. But instead of letting it break her, she leaned into her artistry and inner strength. Her voice, now richer and more vulnerable, conveyed honesty that resonated with fans worldwide. Songs about love, heartbreak, and healing weren't just entertainment, they were a bridge between her inner world and the millions who followed her journey. By the end of the Sweetener era, Ariana Grande had cultivated a deeper understanding of herself and of love. She realized that true intimacy begins within, that only by honoring her own needs, desires, and boundaries could she open herself to authentic relationships. The pain of the past no longer defined her. Instead, it informed her choices, guided her decisions, and inspired a new level of artistry and emotional expression. This chapter was not about reckless passion or fleeting connections. It was about grounding herself, learning to love herself fiercely, and preparing for a future where her heart could thrive amidst fame, music, and the complex world of human connection. With the Positions era, Ariana Grande stepped into a new chapter of her life and career, one defined by both artistic evolution and the complexities of love under the relentless gaze of the public. Touring had become second nature, but with it came the heightened intensity of romantic choices. Passion was always near, temptation always lingering backstage, and every connection risked being dissected by millions before it had a chance to breathe. Ariana now had experience, wisdom, and emotional depth, but the stakes had never been higher. Love during this period was a delicate dance. Some nights brought fleeting sparks, whispered laughter in quiet hotel corridors, soft touches under the haze of stage lights, and the intoxicating thrill of being wanted completely. Yet, Ariana was no longer the young girl who surrendered her heart recklessly. She weighed every feeling, every connection, and every potential heartbreak with the precision of someone who had learned the cost of vulnerability. Fame, while rewarding, was an ever present shadow over her choices, shaping relationships before they could fully exist. The Positions tour itself was a crucible of emotion. Cities blurred together as she performed night after night, and romantic encounters sometimes bloomed in the fleeting hours between flights, sound checks, and press events. These moments were intense, raw, and fleeting, often leaving Ariana both exhilarated and exhausted. She discovered that love on the road was a paradox. It could feel deeply real, yet vanish as quickly as it arrived. Some connections left lingering warmth, others left quiet ache. But each encounter, each choice, reinforced her understanding of herself and what she truly wanted. Amid the intensity, Ariana also explored the beauty of partnership and emotional honesty. She began to understand that vulnerability wasn't weakness, it was courage. Even fleeting relationships taught her profound lessons about communication, trust, and self respect. And in moments of solitude backstage, she often reflected on how much she had grown, how far she had come from the tumultuous early days of fleeting first loves and public heartbreak. These reflections gave her songs a new resonance, as fans could feel not just the glamour of the tours, but the depth of her personal journey woven into every note. By the end of the Positions era, Ariana's heart had been tested again and again. She had danced with passion, flirted with temptation, and faced heartbreak under the scrutiny of the world. Yet she emerged stronger, more self-aware, and ready to embrace love and life with clarity and courage. She realized that choices were powerful, not because they guaranteed happiness, but because they allowed her to honor her own needs, desires, and boundaries. Fame and romance would always coexist in a delicate balance, but Ariana Grande had learned to navigate both with the grace, intelligence, and heart that defined not just her music, but her life. After years of whirlwind tours, fleeting romances, heartbreaks, and relentless public scrutiny, Ariana Grande entered a period of profound self discovery. The lessons she had learned from early loves, dangerous woman chaos, sweetener introspection, and the positions era finally converged. She realized that the love she had been searching for in others had always begun within herself, a truth that changed the way she approached life, relationships, and her art. This chapter of her story was marked by serenity and reflection. Away from the constant glare of paparazzi and the endless buzz of social media, Ariana allowed herself to explore genuine connections built on trust and respect. Romantic possibilities still arose, as they always do for a woman in the spotlight, but she approached them with newfound wisdom. She sought not the thrill of intensity or the temporary comfort of fleeting passion, but partnerships that nourished her spirit, respected her independence, and celebrated her heart as fiercely as she celebrated her own artistry. The music of this era reflected her journey toward wholeness. Songs became expressions not just of longing or heartbreak, but of empowerment, self love, and emotional resilience. Each lyric, each performance was infused with a clarity born of experience. The understanding that true love is not measured by the intensity of a romance, but by the harmony it brings to one's life. Ariana's fans sensed this transformation, hearing in her music the echoes of growth, courage, and authenticity. Ariana also found peace in solitude, recognizing that being alone did not equate to loneliness. Quiet mornings, reflective journaling, and heartfelt conversations with close friends became the pillars of her well-being. These moments allowed her to process past pains and embrace new possibilities without fear. And when genuine romantic love entered her life, it was no longer a desperate pursuit, but a natural extension of the secure, self-aware woman she had become. By the end of this chapter, Ariana Grande had achieved a rare balance, the power of fame harmonized with the wisdom of emotional experience. She had navigated the turbulence of youth, the intensity of touring romances, and the scrutiny of the public eye to emerge stronger, grounded, and ready to embrace life and love fully. Her journey proved that while heartbreak can shape us and chaos can challenge us, self-discovery leads to the most profound, enduring form of love, the one we cultivate within ourselves. And as she stepped onto stages around the world, her voice carried not just melody and emotion, but the unwavering truth of a woman who had learned to love wisely, deeply, and entirely on her own terms.